I'm Lawrence Wintermeyer at FinTech TV here at Abu Dhabi Finance Week, and I'd like to welcome Karl Naim, who's the Chief Commercial Officer of XBTO. How are you doing?
Doing great, Lawrence. How are you?
I'm really doing well. Can you tell us a bit about the play and what you're doing?
Sure. XBTO has been a digital asset provider since 2015. We've been around in the space for 10 years now, which is a fairly long time. We started as a family office, and in 2023 pivoted to become client-facing. We've been regulated in Bermuda since 2019, and recently obtained a license out of ADGM FSRA in Abu Dhabi. And we deal with institutional and high net worth individual family offices, helping them navigate the space of digital assets, from custody to trading, OTC, broker-dealer, as well as some of our hedge fund strategies that we offer to these investors.
And could you just give our viewers an idea of what sort of assets we're talking about? We've got, clearly 10 years, native cryptographic assets from BTC to network coins are going to be big. We've seen the emergence of real-world assets, but what's that sort of asset mix looking like for, the users of your platform?
So what we see today is quite interesting, right? In the past 2 years, things have evolved very quickly when it comes to institutional adoption. And thanks to a lot of factors that played into it, regulatory clarity coming from the US, the launch of the ETF by BlackRock, which is an instrument that investors are used to. So I think we're still at the beginning, which is a lot of adoptions when we look at digital asset, but in general, Bitcoin, through an ETF. But there's so much more that is coming next about owning the coins. So now sovereigns, institutions are getting a bit more comfortable with the infrastructure out there to custody and trade coins directly instead of going through a wrapper like an ETF. We're still looking at beta exposure mostly, right? I mean, we know that Mubadala, Abu Dhabi Investment Council have invested in the ETF. But what we see as the next evolution is like, how do we generate alpha out of a very volatile asset class? And we know that hedge funds thrive in these kind of environments. And we're seeing more and more adoption, slow adoption, of moving from beta exposure to alpha products that would also give better risk-adjusted returns when it comes to what you would expect in a modern portfolio, diversified portfolio. When it comes to tokenization, that's something that we talk a lot in the region here, especially real-world assets. The adoption isn't there yet. What we're seeing is mostly tokenization of private credit, tokenization of funds, tokenization of equities and other instruments.
Yeah, and you raise a really good point. I'd like to add to your list of drivers for real-world assets, Larry Fink, who really has been the poster boy in many ways for real-world assets. We're here at ADGM now, and particularly in the NIA cluster here. Are you seeing any particular trends in the hedge area? I know sovereign debt's coming, but collateralization seems to be big in some of the communities I'm in. I mean, what are the 2 or 3 big things about this community and certainly the regulatory direction of travel that you're seeing?
Again, I think the UAE has been at the forefront of digital asset adoption simply because the regulators were ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you've got the FSRA here, obviously, you've got VARA out of Dubai. So this was one of the factors that helped institutional money come into the space. And obviously talking about tokenization, lending against Bitcoin. When it comes to banks here in the region, I think they're still behind. We've seen now a lot of banks in the US or even in Switzerland that are now offering Bitcoin custody, Bitcoin trading. This hasn't happened yet. And I think there's still a bit of clarity that's required from the central bank of the UAE to allow those financial institutions to start getting into that field. And the moment this happens, that's the floodgates are then going to be open. It's obviously going to be a lot of the basics, custody, trading of some of the major coins. I don't expect the bank offering meme coins on their trading platforms, at least not at this stage. But I think what comes next is tokenization. And I think there's already some projects happening on the real estate side with real estate law to allow tokenization of real estate in the UAE and hopefully in the region. So I think the region is more advanced than the US in some aspects or Europe, but in others, we've seen banks, big banks already getting into the custody, into the trading, doing tokenized money market funds. Stable coins are going to be, I think, the theme for next year when it comes to which rail is going to prevail, which stable coin is going to be there for a longer term. It's a very interesting time to be in the space.
Well, Karl Naim, XBTO, what a pleasure it's been talking to you today about all of the great stuff that's going on in this neck of the world. So thanks for joining us on FinTech TV.
Thank you for having me, Lawrence.